Alright, I tried to record this video a few times now, what you might call outtakes. Didn't go very well. I ended up going on like a 45-minute rant, which I think is overwhelming and distracting from my goal here. So what I'll do instead is try to be concise about where I'm at, and then maybe we can give more details in future updates. So you guys see my hair here, right? This isn't a fashion statement. This is actually a protest or a symbol. So I've decided I'm not going to cut my hair until the corruption, which I have been facing for a very long time now. It's hard to even put a time on it because it's been so long. But nonetheless, I'm not going to cut my hair until I feel satisfied that this corruption has ended. In the same way, at least in my personal life, can't change the world necessarily, but if I can live as a free man, that's a good start. In the same way, I am also remaining celibate. So I am totally, I'm doing semen retention, as a lot of people call it now. Totally celibate, totally focused on ending this corruption. I am acting, you would say, pro se, I guess, in my case, because every lawyer I've talked to is reluctant and or tries to funnel me down a system that has already failed me several times. Thankfully, I'm a fairly smart guy. I taught myself how to be an engineer. Nobody thought I could be an engineer. Nobody thought that I would be anything but garbage my whole life, and I proved them wrong. So now I guess I'm going to prove everybody wrong that I can do my own legal work too, because nobody seems to believe it. But what we face right now is a massive corruption of an order and magnitude that I think most people are not even willing to face when it comes to the authority over the children in America, in American law. First of all, the family law system is not a court of law. It does not respect your constitutional rights. We can go into the details of that in the future, but I mean, on the surface, just look at it. You're supposed to have a right to a jury. There's no jury in a family law. You're supposed to have the right to due process. My due process is being purposefully violated right now for several weeks, and I have resorted to writing a letter to the DA, very carefully drafted letter citing case law, which should compel them to act by their obligation to the law. So far, nothing. I will, in a few days, if they do not respond soon, file what's called a writ of mandamus to compel them to act, because they should be obligated under the law. I cited the statute, I cited the case law, I cited the Supreme Court case which defends my 14th Amendment rights. But in any case, that's where I am. I will go into some detail, I think, in the future about how I got to this point. But what we need to understand is this isn't a men's rights issue. This isn't a men's rights issue. That's how it's been being framed, and I think that's why it's failing, because people don't care about men. First of all, nobody cares. You guys want to give lip service like, oh yeah, men should speak their mind and tell their feelings. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. There's a reason why men don't share their feelings, because nobody cares. That is instinctual. It's not going to change. It's not a social construct. I can show you the research. We'll get into that later. I can show you that this is an inherent part of being human, and it's fine. It's okay. I'm a grown man. I've accepted it. It's part of being a man, is understanding that your feelings don't matter, right? You have to produce results, and that's fine. But the issue we face here is not one of men's rights. It's child's rights. It's the right of children to have a father in their life, which is being undermined by a corrupt state institution, a corrupt and unconstitutional state institution. And if you don't believe me, once again, we'll go into some detail in the future, and I will go through the exhaustive case law to show you just how and when this system became totally corrupted. Because this is not what the Founding Fathers intended for this system to be, not by any stretch of the imagination. And the end result is that most children, many if not most, because it seems like it's most children, but I don't have the exact stats off the top of my head. So we'll say many children today in America grow up without fathers. I have been a father for 15 years now. And guess what? Here's some proof for you that nobody gives a shit about men or their feelings. I've been a father for 15 years. I never failed to provide for my children. I never failed to be there for my children. Guess what? I'm still fighting. I'm still fighting this corrupt system that's trying to take away my kids. It doesn't matter. It doesn't count for shit. Everything I've done, everything I've worked for doesn't count for shit. They just want to take away kids from the fathers. Now, you can come up with all sorts of theories why this might be the case. You could say it's incompetence. You could say it's deliberate corruption. I happen to think it's the latter, given I've done the research. And once again, we'll go into the specifics, but just understand that I'm an engineer. I'm the kind of engineer that gets to the bottom of systems. I solve problems sometimes that nobody else can see. This is the kind of person I am. And I'm going to get to the bottom of this, not for my sake, but for the sake of my children, and hopefully other people's children as well. This corruption needs to end. Children need their fathers. We have the research to show that children with a father in their life do markedly better on pretty much everything you could measure, from crime to education to outcomes to happiness, everything. And we've tried convincing women of the importance of fathers. They're not listening. They're not listening. Fathers' rights and men's rights and children's rights, by extension, need to be held up by the law. And this is, again, an inherent difference between men and women. See, women get the benefit of the doubt in this culture. Men do not. It's not the culture. I shouldn't say culture. It's inherent to human beings. There was a study done just last year to show just how different men and women really are. We can go into that in a future post. But we've already gone on here for a few minutes, so I think that suffices as an introduction here. I'm essentially fighting a war against corruption that, my father probably should have fought on my behalf, but didn't, so now it falls to me. And I know there's a lot of other fathers out there going through something similar, so, I welcome your support. I welcome even your words of kindness. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate and pushback. I already have in some circles, but I don't care. I know the truth. I am learning the law, and I've done the research, and I understand the situation quite well, and I don't need, the uneducated musings of what I call propaganda demons, people who just believe what they're told without thinking. It's not helpful. It doesn't help. And it's not going to secure the right of children to have fathers in their lives. So, in any case, I guess that about sums it up for now without going into too much detail in any direction. Future videos, I'll tell you about my past, how I got to this point, my relationship. We'll talk about some of the details of this corruption that I've already uncovered. I'll go into more detail about my current cases, which I'm trying to pursue here in the name of justice. And again, I will remain celibate, and I will not cut my hair until this corruption in my personal life has been brought to justice, and I get to see my children and raise my children in peace without the interference of a corrupt state. So, yes, that is my battle, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one.